Madison, I'm assuming you're getting close to leaving work, right?
I actually just left the office building, and I'm riding the bus home at the moment. Is there something that you need from me?
I see. Will that bus be going by the 8th Street subway station?
Well, the last stop is actually 8th Street subway station.
Well then, you can ride that bus all the way there this time.
And why should I do that? I don't plan on going shopping or anything today either. I just wanted to get home so that I could have some downtime before having to cook dinner.
Well, I want you to go to the department store for me, so you'll have to take a little detour, okay?
The department store?
A brand of purse that I'm really into just released a brand new style. I can't stop thinking about it and have been looking at pictures online of it all day long.
Okay.
So, I'd like you to go there and pick one up for me.
And how much is that new purse going to be?
I think around $1,300 or so.
$1,300? I'm going to assume that after I get home, you'll repay me for this, right?
Excuse me, are you saying you want to take your husband's parents' money from them? You are one awfully greedy woman.
But $1,300 for a purse is no small amount. If it was just for groceries or something you need, I wouldn't mind paying, but for a purse? Can you at least wait a little while until your birthday or Christmas to get it?
All I'm saying is that I want it now. That should be enough for you to go and buy it for me.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't just have $1,300 laying around for me to spend on that, so no.
Excuse me. Well, why don't you go to the bank and get a loan for it then? Or maybe just use one of your credit cards for it and you can pay it off at a later date.
I will lose the ability to buy food and things for me and my husband. But is that really what you want?
Huh? How does that have anything to do with my purse?
We'll be stuck having to eat really cheap food, and won't be able to afford anything breaking down. But if that's what you want, then I suppose I can buy that.
How can you think that I'd let you buy cheap food for the family? Ugh, I'm over this. I'm going to talk with Drew about this. I guess I was wrong for asking his moneyless and greedy wife to get me a simple purse. I just assumed that you working for a huge company meant your salary was good enough to ask for such a purse. But I should think twice next time before asking you for anything. It's crazy that I even allowed Drew to marry a selfish woman like you. Really, I was hoping he'd find a woman that knew how to treat her husband's family with respect, but I guess I was deceived by you in every way. I'm not going to let this go, Madison. I hope you understand that you'll be hearing about this again from me and Drew at a later date.
I don't think that Drew will just go out and buy you a $1,300 purse that easily either. Him and I are in the same boat of not wanting to spend money on needless things right now.
Well, unlike you, he knows how to save up money and has more than enough to buy his mom one present. I need to get in touch with him before those purses go out of stock. I've already heard that a lot of the stores in town are out of them, and I'm not going to let your selfish crap be what stops me from getting one.
This again, huh?
I knew it was the right choice getting myself this new purse. I heard that this was the last one they had in stock at the store. That was a dangerous situation I had to face. I was right to ask for Drew to go out and get me this beautiful new purse.
He really ended up buying it for you, huh? I should have known that he'd resort to being such a mama's boy.
Well, he didn't even trouble me with all that talking back, like you. So I'm glad that I stopped where I did with you and decided to ask him. Oh, this is so much fun. I just love sitting here feeling the natural leather. And this bag will complement that new red dress of mine so well.
I wish you at least think a bit more about other people's money before you start asking them to use it for you.
Well, it's all my son's money anyway, so I have every right as his mother to use it any way I please.
But there is a limit to that. And shouldn't you have money of your own? You're retired now and have a pension that you can use to buy that sort of stuff if you save well enough.
Oh, geez. You are such an annoying dog. I was feeling so wonderful to have my hands on this purse. And yet here you are ruining that feeling. I guess I could try to de-stress. I'll ask and see if he can get me a nice tote bag to match this purse.
Hold on. Do you not realize that we don't have the money to afford all of those high-end brand bags for you?
Well, listen, Madison. You guys do have the money. Or I guess I should say that Drew does. I know that more than you do.
What?
I think you'll soon start to learn about everything that's been going on with your husband and the wealth he's going to have.
Yeah? What do you even mean by that?
Well, as we get closer, you'll see what I mean. I hope that you start to prepare yourself for the future that's ahead of you.
Ashley? I just realized that a lot of the things in the house have gone missing. What the actual hell is this about?
Ah, you've made it back home? I only just got out of there a little bit ago, so that really saved me from having to deal with you in person.
But I want to know what's going on.
I'd like to think that you found the divorce papers that were left behind for you.
I did. They were sitting on the living room table right in the open for me to spot. But what the hell is up with this?
It's just as it looks. I want you to divorce my son immediately.
Wait, this is way too messed up that I can't even understand you. Can you tell me again what you said? But this time with a little bit more explanation behind it.
Drew is going to be getting married to a much younger and much more wealthy woman, so he's moved out of there into a gorgeous new estate.
Huh? A wealthy and young woman? And a gorgeous estate?
My son happened to come across a rich girl that happened to fall in love with him.
Huh?
Well, they started dating with the idea of marriage. And unlike you, she happens to let me buy things with her money and doesn't even talk back to me at all. This is when I expected you'd start to understand.
So this all started because of your desires of using someone else's money to buy all your brand items.
Sure did. She has a small fortune in her bank account, so buying what I want is no problem for her.
Who the hell even is this woman and where is she from?
There's that really nice part of the suburbs home to all sorts of luxury estates, right? Well, she happens to live right in the center of all those nice estates in a much larger and more modern mansion.
What? Really?
When I think about a rich and young woman compared to a moneyless middle-aged woman, she stands out like a star next to a rock. She comes from a completely different way of life.
Are you serious right now?
I am. Drew has no other choice but to leave the woman with no money in her account. It's only natural for him, after all. And then you can go live on your own at whatever place you can actually afford. Well, now that you understand the situation, I'd like you to hurry along with the divorce.
Understood. Thanks for helping me see this clearly. I hope you have a great life.
Yes, you don't have to tell me that. I'm already the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Angela! Has there been anything crazy going on with you lately?
Oh, hi, Madison.
Are you okay right now?
Well, I'm starting to get the hang of what's been happening. Just a bit ago, Mom and her son seemed to be at the front of my house. They came right into my house with all these boxes saying that they were going to be moving in with me, and made quite the mess for me. Right now, I'm with my husband, and we are discussing everything that just happened. Madison, that man, he looks a lot like the man that's been stalking me for a while now. Actually, I think he is that man.
For crying out loud.
So, why do you want to know something about this happening to me?
Well, I think that man that's been stalking you is my husband. And he was most likely there with his mom. Was it a man that had a pretty lean body and looked in his 30s, with a much older woman who was even more thin and looked within her late 60s? I'm sure it also seemed like the mom was in control of the situation and had him on a leash the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I saw. And actually, the man seemed to stand behind and let his mom do the talking. I guess that really must be your husband then.
I'm so sorry that my husband has stepped out of line and caused you this much trouble. It turns out that my husband thinks he is going to marry you, and that he's allowed to just move into that house with you.
What?
I wonder if he has you confused as some sort of person with a lot of money that lives alone in an estate like that. And his mom seems to think that a person like you would just marry him and let her spend all the money of yours that she'd like.
Now that you mention it, his mom did go right up to my husband and said that her son is going to marry his sister. And that she is there to watch it all happen. But my dad only has brothers, and so this all seemed really strange to both him and me.
I'm sorry to have to ask this, but can you give me a little time to handle this? I want to have a chance to talk to my mother-in-law about this. Of course, if you can't manage giving me a little time, you're more than welcome to just call the police on them both. I don't really mind.
All right, I just hope you could get to the bottom of this.
Ashley! What the hell are you both doing at my friend's house? I'm talking about the woman that Drew plans to marry.
Oh my, so you do happen to know who she is?
She has been friends with me through both middle school and high school. And even now we still happen to go out every once in a while.
I see. So you really do have some deep connections to this fine woman. But could this just be you acting like she's your friend when she really has no idea who you are?
The only people that she doesn't know a thing about are you and your son.
Huh? What do you mean, Madison?
That woman is not the single owner of that house. Both her and her husband own it, and he's the one that bought it for them.
What?
Right now, the man that you've been thinking of as her brother is actually her husband that she's been with for a while now.
She's already married to someone?
Yes. I have been hearing stories from her for a while now about someone stalking her when she goes out or has the curtains in the house open. And then when he told me that the location of this estate was in a very high-end suburb and the house resided in the center of it with a very modern design, I knew exactly who you were talking about. And that's when I immediately started talking to her about you both. She told me that a mom and her son barged into their house, creating a whole scene saying that they'd be moving in with her.
Wait, does that mean that Drew has been the stalker?
That's what it seems like. And I think Drew misunderstood the fact that she is indeed already married to another man.
You're lying. My son has no reason to have done any of that.
For the time being, can you and Drew just get that truck out of their driveway and leave their property? If you don't and continue to be inside their house, they will have no choice but to call the police and have the both of you arrested for this.
Arrested? Drew and I? Madison! What the heck do you think you're doing? Where have you run off to? We both came right back to the house like you asked, and you are nowhere to be found in here. What do you think you're doing?
I have no plans on ever coming back to that house ever again.
Huh?
I took all my things and got them moved into a small storage container for the time being. And tonight I'm going to be staying at a hotel where I can take things easy without having to see either of you.
What are you talking about?
I had actually been thinking about divorcing Drew for a little while now. So I've been moving my things into that storage container, little by little. But when I found out what you both did, I took that time alone to act.
Do you know what you're saying? I'm not going to allow you to leave my son.
Whoa, wait. Wasn't it you that went out of your way to put those divorce papers on the living room table for me?
Well, my son's no longer going to be marrying a young and wealthy woman, so what I wanted before is all in the past now. Now you get your butt back over here.
Well, I've already handed in all the divorce paperwork to the city office.
Excuse me?
And also, there's no reason for me to worry about either of you guys anymore. So your permission isn't necessary.
What?
You've already given me more than enough reason to leave you guys. So why don't we just stop talking to each other now?
What have we done besides putting a piece of paper on a table for you?
Well, for starters, Drew has been stalking another woman for a while now. And now that you both acted on who he assumed would marry him and let you guys move in, causing a huge mess, I just can't deal with you both. Also, me leaving you both probably won't be the end of your guys' problem.
Uh-huh. What else do you have planned for me and Drew? Madison! Can you please get back in touch with Drew for me? Your friend has come after Drew for stalking her for a while now, and plans to take him to court, and it's going to cost us a lot of money. And I had assumed that Drew had the money to deal with all of this, but he said he expected to become rich after marrying your friend. He had used up all his money while waiting to marry her, and has been borrowing money for the past few months. He told me that all the money I used to get those bags and purses was all from the borrowed money he had. So, I need you now, more than ever. The money that you have saved up could really help us out of this situation. I'll forgive you for everything if you just get back with Drew and give us some of your money. Please, Madison! You have no reason to say no to us, right? Madison, can you at least give me an answer? Hello?
The following day, I was met with both that stalker Drew and his mom showing up at my office out of nowhere. Luckily, I wasn't there as I had already told my work about the events that were occurring. And so they allowed me to work remotely and told both Drew and his mom that I was not working there anymore and had changed offices. They continued trying to ask the woman at the front desk where the office was that I moved to. But she continued telling them that she couldn't give that information. Also, now that I'm back at my parents' house with my dad, who used to be in the police force himself, I really have nothing to worry about from those two. And that was the last of my relation to the stalker boy and his mommy. All I've heard about them now is that they ended up having to take out even more money in order to pay off the court hearing and settlement from my friend. And that put them in a really bad spot financially. And also, because Drew was now officially known as a stalker, the company he worked for found out and ended up firing him. Now, while the two of them work to pay back all the loans they took out, both end up fighting each other over whose fault all this really was.
Dakota, hello. Has it been 3 years already? Wow, time really does fly when you're having a good time. You went and blocked me after the last time we chatted, so I went and got myself a brand new phone number to text you with. What? Gracie? Huh? Why are you reacting to me texting you after such a long time like that? You think you, of all people, have the right to be asking me what my reaction was just then, after everything you did? What are you talking about? I'm talking about how you stole my husband from me and made us get a divorce. Oh, that did happen, didn't it? At the time, you were married to Jeff, right? Well, after I went and stole him from you, things became a little bit distant between him and I, so I threw him aside. So we no longer need to talk about that. From now on, I'd like to start my new relationship with a new man. And you need to do the same thing for yourself here soon, Dakota, right? Honestly, I don't really care what happened between you and Jeff anymore. And right now, the fact that you are texting me again after that event is frickin' vexing. What? Don't you start calling me annoying. Then don't even text me again, please. Goodbye. Wait! I have to tell you about who I'm going out with right now, and that's why I started to text you again. What do you think you're doing, leaving me before I even tell you what I have to say? I don't give a crap about whoever you're with now. Well, what if I told you I'm going out with your current husband now? What was that? My current husband, you say? Look at that. Now you seem to care. I knew you'd never be able to ignore me after saying that. No. Actually, after saying that, you've only gone and started to annoy me some more. Actually, it's been about 6 months now since I went and stole him from you. Your current husband is way more exciting than your first. He is far superior to that Jeff guy, and the way he acts around me is so gentlemanlike. We're just meant for one another. What? I'm single right now, though. Huh? Like I said, I'm single. No boyfriend, no fiancé, no husband. I'm not even having any fun with men right now. Ever since the divorce with Jeff happened, I haven't dated any men at all. There hasn't been anyone I've come to like that way. For the past 3 years, I've been completely free and have my own will again. Yet now you're back talking about how you're with my husband? Who are you even talking about right now? Oh, I see. I get it now. This is all too heartbreaking for you, isn't it? Just because you're feeling your gut tighten up with anxiety, it doesn't mean you can start to lie to me. Right now, I'm in a hotel with your husband, and we are getting it on. I know for a fact that you're lying, and it was all too easy for me to guess that. Hey, Gracie, I'm not joking around. I've seriously not gotten remarried since then. Then tell me, who is this man that I've been having so much fun with and letting do me raw all the time when we come out on these little nightly vacancies? You haven't given me a name or sent me a picture of him, so I have no clue who he is. Oh my god. So this is really devastating for you then, isn't it? And could it also be that since this is your second time losing a husband to me, your brain has become completely fried from the shock? Well, you need to get your memory back somehow, alright? Because it's no fun watching you just sit there saying you have no memory of who your husband is. The whole point of me stealing him from you is to watch you get all upset with me again and talk about wanting to off yourself and such. I think you are mentally screwed, Gracie. But it's just so much fun for me. Especially when watching an old friend like you have a mental breakdown. I'm sure you were aware back in high school and college how I'd go and steal the men you loved, right? Seriously, the fact that you are so mentally screwed is making me want to call the police. I might honestly do that. This whole thing about you saying that man is my husband and all now, and talking about how you're now having sex with him all the time, I think you need some real dang help. Huh? So you're still going to lie to me? I'm just telling you the truth, Gracie. I think you need to find out again who that man you're with is and whose husband he is, because I know 100% that he's not mine. He most likely has nothing to do with me in the first place. I told you already, he is your husband. That's what he keeps telling me. There's no way that I'm making a mistake here. Well, I have no idea who he could be then. And from what I can tell, this conversation is meaningless because you keep forcing it to go on a loop. Bye. Huh? What the heck? I'm going to bust that lying thick skull of yours right open. I'll show you.
Dakota, this is Jeff. Long time no see. I'm only texting you because I have something I'd like to ask. Is that alright?
What? The only reason I haven't already blocked you yet is because you're still working on paying off the settlement I'd asked for 3 years ago. You understand that very clearly, right?
I know. Look, I totally agree that I'm not in the position to be texting you like this. But for my own sake, I have something I wanted to check with you about.
Well then, make it fast.
Thank you. Did you get remarried? No, I totally understand that you don't want someone like me asking you a personal question like that, but this is about Gracie.
Gracie?
Well, I'm not sure why she was doing this in the first place, and if she meant it as a form of messing around with me, but yesterday she had messaged me. She was going on about how she had stolen her husband from you again, and this new man is far better than me. Well, I kind of understood what was wrong with that woman back when she ran away from me, and since then I haven't really had any desire to want to talk with her again.
So Gracie is still going on about how she's stolen my supposed husband?
What?
About 3 months ago or so, she was telling me the exact same thing about how she had stolen my husband. None of it made any sense at all to me, so I just stopped texting her and left it. Were you able to hear from her at all who the man is that she's with and calling my husband?
Yeah. He was working at the same company as me before, and his name is Titus. Though he was never that great of a worker in the company, so I don't ever remember much about him besides his face.
I see. I have no memory of a Titus.
Oh, so this means you haven't gotten remarried yet?
That's right. There is no husband.
And how about thoughts about you and I getting back together?
Shut the hell up, Jeff.
What I thought. Sorry for asking. I won't say anything else.
However, thank you for letting me know about this. I happen to have a friend still working at the company you were at before, so when I have some time, I'll ask them to look into this Titus guy for me.
Well, if there's anything you need help with, let me know. Of course, after what happened 3 years ago, I'm sure you don't want me around.
That's right. But if you hear anything from Gracie, let me know about it.
Sounds good.
Dakota, I've really gone and done it this time. And this time, you can no longer even try getting away with lying about not having a husband right now. That's because your husband got me pregnant. Well, actually, I already knew I was pregnant a little while back. It's been around 6 months now since I first found out, but I wanted to wait until my belly started to get a bit bigger before telling you. At this point, I have no choice but to have the baby for him, and that will force you to have to divorce him, right? Oh my god, life is always filled with the unexpected. At first, I was just planning on taking your husband from you for however long things could last before I got bored, and then toss him aside as well. But this guy is the most amazing man I have ever been with. He has the best features, and his face is perfect for me. And above all that, me getting married to the man I stole from you would be a good send-off before your trip into a deep depression, right? When he told me that he wanted to marry me so much that he'd make me pregnant with his kid, I was over the moon with joy. From that moment on, he and I have felt even more close to one another. And after a few weeks at a hotel nearby, I became pregnant. Hey, how about you respond to me now? I get that this is all terribly heartbreaking for you, but there's no point in you lying to me anymore about being single. All right, hurry up and get that divorce for me now. Hey, Dakota, I've seen that you read my text from yesterday. But the fact that you still haven't replied to me tells me there is something wrong with your head. I'm about to have a baby here soon, and you are holding up the process for my man and I. You have to divorce him now. Hi, Gracie. What perfect timing. I was just thinking about getting back to you. Well, so you're finally going to agree to divorce your husband for me? No, because like I've said plenty of times now, I'm single. Huh? You are still trying to fight me on this? Just stop talking for a second, all right? I have something I need to check with you about now, Gracie, and it is very, very important. What? Gracie, have you ever been stalked by someone before? What? Stalked by someone? I'm talking about the time between you leaving Jeff and now. Yes. There have been a few times now, actually. But after I went and gave him a little action, he left me alone for good. What? You and that stalker? I've done things like that before in the past to get men to leave me alone, so I did the same thing with him, and after he was happy, he left me alone. That's right. This last time, he was a total turnoff. His looks were awful, and that face was like that of an alien. Yet he still thought he could get with me. Well, I knew that as long as I pleased him that one time, he'd leave me alone forever. So I slept with him for 2 hours that day. But I do have to say, that did leave me with a little bit of trauma. I told myself that once I had finished up with that stalker, I would never ever do anything with an ugly man again. Did you get the name of that stalker or any other identification? We were only together one time, so I had no reason to ask for his name. Then, what would happen if that man you called ugly back then went and got plastic surgery and then showed back up in your face again? What? Plastic surgery? And what if he told you he wanted to have a serious relationship now? Wanted to marry you and everything? What? I would never bother with him. Naturally, he's ugly, so no matter what he does to change his appearance, I would never want to have a relationship. By the way, why are we talking about this right now? I see. So you still don't get it then, do you? That's why I'm wondering what's going on here. That whole story with that stalker is over now, and I fixed the problem I had. No, you didn't. You might think you fixed that problem. But while you've been completely oblivious to it, that man has been moving along with a very dark plan that he made up. What are you talking about? What dark plan? That stalker of yours that I just mentioned, the one that got plastic surgery and everything? Well, he got you to think that he was married to me, and his name is Titus. Huh? You know how Jeff and Titus used to work together back at Jeff's old company? Well, I happen to have a friend still working at that company, and so they went and talked with Titus about a few things while out drinking. The reason he first started to stalk you was because back in the day you were waiting for Jeff outside the office, and Titus saw you and immediately fell in love. What? After that, he learned about how you and Jeff broke up, and that's what turned him into your stalker. And after some time, you went and had that 2-hour pleasure time with him, and that only strengthened his desire for you further. So in order to become the man you dreamed of having, he went online and started searching for all the men you follow on social media, as well as learned about how you had always been stealing my significant others away from me. He changed his face to match the faces of those men you liked so much, and changed his backstory to sound like he had become my next husband. This then led to you falling for him immediately, and he then was able to get you pregnant with his kid. And now, here we are. What? What if I told you that everything you've been a part of with that man has all been part of your stalker's plan? What? In order to go through all that plastic surgery, Titus used up all of his savings. And then in order to take you out to those hotels all the time, he started to borrow money. So he's in debt? And don't forget that he went and changed his whole appearance for you, so everyone at the office talks about what happened to him all the time. He went and got rid of his former self, all in order to force his way into your life. You should be more accepting of his strong desire to be with you over any other woman on this planet. No! How could I ever marry an ugly man like that? How could I ever be able to give birth to that ugly man's child? No! This is what you wanted. I didn't know all of that happened, though. Help me, Dakota. Why should I? Because he's your husband! That's right. He is my husband, isn't he? Just like how the sun is the color pink. And how rocks are mammals. Let me come hide at your place. I'm coming to your house right now. If you're talking about my parents' house, that place is no longer standing. It was demolished years ago, and there's a new house there. Huh? It's not there anymore? My older brother and his wife took that land and built their new house on it, so I moved out of town and am living somewhere completely different. So don't even bother with me, Gracie. What? And if you'd like to know, your parents' house is also gone now. Huh? Because of what you did 3 years ago, your parents both disowned you, right? They couldn't risk you trying to come back to them after that, and so they both decided to sell their house and move away from here for good. I'm not sure where they moved to, though. I'm sure you could go out and try looking for them, but that would be a hard thing to do when you're going to have a baby soon and a husband. No way! Then, what am I supposed to do? There's only one thing left you can do. What is that? Marry Titus and become his childbearing wife, right? What? Your last name would be Dingerfell, right? Gracie Dingerfell. That sounds pretty great to me. No! Help me, Dakota! There's nothing I can do for you. Nothing I'd want to do for you, to be honest. No! Goodbye forever, Gracie. I know that I told her I couldn't do anything for her, but I had actually gotten Gracie's mother's phone number a while back. And she had just texted me asking how Gracie was doing since we started talking again, and I told her daughter was just fine. In the end, Gracie got married to Titus, although they didn't have a wedding for their marriage or anything like that, because Titus didn't have any money left and Gracie was going into labor. And so right after their visit to the courthouse to get married, she gave birth to their baby. Gracie was not a fan of her baby because the moment it came out of her, she could see that it resembled the natural version of Titus, which she called ugly. But there was nothing she could do about her baby at that point, so she just began bawling her eyes out over her new life, which had just begun. And because Gracie no longer had a single person to rely on for help, she was forced to work with Titus's family, who were all monsters of their own. Apparently his mother was also looking forward to having a daughter-in-law, all with the hopes of making them her slave. And so, after having her baby, Gracie was subjected to a lot of terrible moments with her mother-in-law, which started with her having to move in with Titus's parents because, once again, they didn't have any money to go anywhere otherwise. Titus's mother also blamed Gracie for him getting into debt and forced her to start working in order to pay his debt off for him. And not too long after all that started, Titus's mother told them she didn't want a grandchild anymore, and so she had Gracie's parents come and take that baby away. And, well, Titus was totally okay with her decision to do that with his baby, and even told Gracie that it was the right decision, because he couldn't handle all the baby's crying. By this point, though, Gracie was already pretty much dead inside, so losing her own baby to her parents, who both cut ties to her, didn't even faze her. Well, that's at least what everyone thinks when looking into her now soulless eyes. Anyway, that baby hasn't done anything wrong to deserve to grow up in a terrible household such as that, so I'm completely fine with the outcome there. And that means I can finally relax and forget about Gracie for good.